mistakes, but I will fall apart without you, and you'll do the same. Then under the stars you saw me. It was a simple feeling. You'd broken my heart, I was back in your arms. I was another being, knowing you're no good for me, but happy to keep on hurting. Right from the start, I love who you are. Happy to keep on hurting, and you hurt me.
With the Commish, Nate.
And hello, what's up everybody? Welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly podcast show for the OMFL, the world's oldest and longest online CFM in the world. Started in 2001 as a PC league and still going strong today. Let me welcome in a couple of my friends here. We got the OG crew back, Mr. Maniac, the owner of the Deuce and owner of the Buffalo Bills, Mr. Dwayne, kind of my right-hand guy here, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. Fellers, how you doing today?
Super.
Real good. Good strong drink made and ready to go.
That's
I feel
good.
like I'm getting left out here.
Oh, Mr. Trey, what's happened up, Mr. Trey? Mr. Trey sneaking in here. I think I even seen Big Hurt. Maybe it snuck in here, but we got a full crew tonight. And so Trey and Big Hurt are sort of like always on standby. Even though I got to admit, Trey's more like the sneaky fella. Like he just kind of sits in the background and you don't know he's here. And then all of a sudden you ask something and bam, he pops in and he scares the hell out of everybody. That's Trey. That's what Trey likes to do. All right, fellas, we got some stuff. If I can get in the franchise, I don't know what's going on right now, but I've been trying to get in the franchise for the last 10 minutes. And this thing will not let me in. I have reset this thing 3 times. I don't know what it's doing. Are you guys having trouble getting in?
I'm in right now, so.
Yeah, same here.
Well, it must be a me problem. I don't know what's going on here. Sign into EA. Nope. It says nope. No, not letting you sign in. Come on, let me sign in. Well, it's kind of hard to put it on the screen what we're going to talk about if I can't even freaking get in right now. I'm telling you, PlayStation and EA lately, you guys need to get this thing figured out and get your stuff together because I feel like we're struggling. We are on the struggle bus in a big way. It is still trying to let me in. It is not letting me in. So I'm just going to try to wing this thing and see if Maniac is going to be Johnny on the spot and has it up and ready to go.
Yeah, I've got it up, man. No.
Well, I'm going to lean into you. I think we talked about weeks 6, 7, and 8. No, 8, 9, and 10. No, I don't know. What weeks did we say?
We're supposed to recap weeks 9 and 11.
There we go. 9, 10, and 11. I did that before. I'm going to do it again, though, here in just a second. Let's go week number 9 while I try to get this thing reset. What kind of games look good in week number 9?
Oh, man, there is a lot of good games in week 9. We got the Jets playing New England 42-31. That game was played twice, but both those guys always play really good, and they played really good against each other in that game there. Baltimore blew out the Panthers. Detroit 14-10 win over Tampa Bay. I'm not sure, that might have been a CPU game. I'm not 100% sure, but anyway, he got the win there. Cincinnati and New Orleans, man, 37-31. This is actually the one I was going to kind of look at in depth.
Why don't you?
Houston 20-17 over Pittsburgh here. I think that might have been a CPU game too, because I think Penguins is on vacay or whatever. But Cleveland also getting a 26-13 victory over Indianapolis. Buffalo had a huge victory over the Raiders, 42-14. Tennessee 24-10 over the Giants. San Francisco squeaks by the Chargers 20-10. Minnesota actually got a victory against Miami 21-18. That was a good game there as well. Seattle 34-28 over the Rams. And then Atlanta 31-21 over Chicago, and Jacksonville lost to Philadelphia 30-14. But the game I wanted to look at a little bit in depth, I got a hiccup there in my throat and it didn't come out right. So
best.
The Bengals 37-31 over New Orleans. A lot of offense in this game, man. 400 yards on both sides, a little bit over 400 for the Bengals there, but offensive rushing yards definitely went to the Bengals sky with 172. Passing, though, the Saints with 321 passing yards, 18 first downs for each team. Turnovers, 0 turnovers for the Saints, 1 for the Bengals. Third down conversions, though, this was big, though, 7 for the Bengals and only 2 for the Saints. So it looked like they were kind of stalling out on some drives there. Red zone touchdowns, 3 for the Bengals on only 2 for the Saints. And time of possession actually went to the Saints just slightly with an 18:09 to 17:51. Player stats, and this is where it gets down to the nitty-gritty here. Mr. Anthony with 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, 17-24, 70%, 321 yards. Burrow, he did have a touchdown and also an interception, 13-21, 61 for 266. Looking at those rushing yards, man, Bruce Allen, I think it was the import that he brought over. 16 carries for 141 yards and 3 touchdowns. Witherspoon did have a solid day for the Saints as well, 17 for 67. Not a lot of yards, but consistent with it, and 2 touchdowns on the day as well. Looking at receiving stats, Eli Barkley with 3 catches, 112 yards, and a touchdown. So looked like he had a bomb or 2 there to help his stats. Olave, 4 of 87 for a touchdown. And Howe also had 3 for 48. Chase, 6 for 75. So he was kind of just moving the chains there for the Bengals. Looking at your defensive stats, your top tackler in the game, Cincinnati, was Daxton Hill with 10. He did have a tackle for a loss. Nobody got any sacks. It looked like there was quite a few tackles for a loss on the day as well. So there was some action in the backfield. And then the interception was by Lindsey Morant, the rookie free safety. Was that a user pick or was that a CPU pick there?
Oh, we got me one. Yeah. I went out there and snagged me a little INT.
Nice. You're like one of the better safety users here. So that's a really good game. A lot of points scored there, 37-31 though. Just looked like it went right down to the wire. So great game there in week number 9. Did you get in yet, or?
I still can't get in. I don't know what the deal is. I have restarted the PlayStation. I have closed the game. It just refuses to load for me. So I don't know what to do. I'll keep fighting with it, but I'll let you keep covering some more games here.
All right. Well, we'll move on over to week number 10. Right off the bat, we had the Panthers versus the Buccaneers, 23-20 victory for Carolina there. Indianapolis played Jacksonville, 31-6 victory over Jacksonville. Indianapolis was just on fire, and I think he's also using a backup quarterback right now. So that was kind of odd. Dallas squeaks out a victory over Washington. I believe we got a new Washington owner here.
We might have a new
how's it going?
I should have said that when we started, but I wasn't really paying attention to who was in here or not.
But a 20-13 victory over Washington, so it was a really good game there. Detroit 27-17 over Green Bay. This is going to be the one I'm going to talk about from my division. 31-28 victory for the Jets over Miami. Chicago getting a really tough game here with Minnesota, 16-7. That was a very defensive game there. Buffalo squeaks out a victory, 31-24 over New England. A lot of points scored there. Arizona gets a 30-27 victory over Philadelphia. That was a CPU game, but it was Pittsburgh 22-19 over Baltimore. That was, I think it was a sim. The LA Rams, so 27-24 over the Falcons. That was a really, really close game. That might have also been a simulation after something happened too as well. But anyway, it was a close game. Kansas City, 27-25. A lot of close games, a lot of close scores this week, seemed like. 27-25 over Denver. Then we had a tie. Kiss your brother, kiss your sister, whatever,
Your
24
brother? Wait a second. Hold on. Time out. Is this a West Texas? Time out. Is this a West Texas saying? Kiss your brother. Hold on.
The Giants 24-24 tie with San Francisco. Well, we don't have any girls in the league, so
That's fair. That's fair.
Cleveland with a 31-23 victory over Cincinnati, the Buddy Bowl there. And this game had literally no defense whatsoever. Chargers 55 over Las Vegas 38. So those guys were putting up monstrous numbers. Scroll back up here, take a little quick look at that game I was talking about. The Jets, Miami, again, a really close game in a division that everybody seems to play really close, no matter the record. 316 yards total for the Jets, 310 for the Dolphins. Both teams struggling in the rushing department, only 74 for the Dolphins, 30 for the Jets. Passing, though, guys were flinging the ball around here. 286 for the Jets, 236 for the Dolphins. 20 first downs for the Jets, only 14 for the Dolphins. Turnovers, 2 for the Dolphins and 1 for the Jets. And the third down conversions, the Dolphins only had 2 on the day. So maybe it looked like they were kind of bogging down a little bit during the game. 4 red zone touchdowns, though, for the Jets. So they're getting it done. When they get in the red zone, they're scoring points. Big difference in the game. So with only 1 for the Dolphins. 19 minutes for time of possession to 16 for the Dolphins. So player stats here, looking at Danny McDimes with 304 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was sacked twice, 22 of 37. So he was absolutely flinging the ball around here. Joe Duke, the forgotten man in the Dolphin land here with the it seems like everybody in the division has some type of high-flying, high-scoring type quarterback that can just fling the ball around here. So, but Joe Duke still getting it done. 3 touchdowns, did have 2 picks, 14 of 24 on the day. Rushing, A-Chain was the leading rusher on the day with 10 attempts for 42 yards. Jalen Wright did have a touchdown for Miami rushing, and then Jalen Hunter also had a touchdown for the Jets rushing. Receiving, Earl Lowry, this guy, 11 receptions, 196 yards, and a touchdown. He's just been phenomenal, hard to stop. 7 receptions for Waddle, 101 yards. He also had a touchdown. Hill had a touchdown with 3 catches. A-Chain, 3 catches for 46 and a touchdown. So a lot of guys getting the ball spread around there in the passing attack there. Defense-wise, Amani Hooker was tackle leader here for 10 for the Dolphins. Did have a tackle for a loss. Also had an interception. Sack leaders, Harold, Jaden, Adafe also had one as well. Interception leaders, again, Hayden, Hooker, and Matthew all had interceptions in this game. So, again, a really close game, the score-wise, but, man, both guys were just putting up some points, and it's definitely was an entertaining game for sure. All right, so we're also supposed to look at week number 11. We're in currently week number 11, so we're just going to touch over some of the games that have already been played. Look like we've got about 6 games played already on the day. The Dallas Cowboys get a solid victory over the Giants, 27-13. Buffalo squeaks out a victory over the Cleveland Browns, 31-27. Arizona gets a victory over the Rams, 24-15. The Panthers beat the Bengals 21-17. The 49ers starting to kind of get their groove going, 35-14 over the Lions. There with the San Francisco 49ers and D-Money. Pittsburgh, I don't know if he's back or if this was a CPU game, but if he's back, definitely showed Pittsburgh 38-16 over the Colts there. So a lot of good games so far already. And I know I'll just kind of break down my game. It was definitely a tough game against Denver. His defensive line, if they're not getting the stats, he's still just wreaking havoc in the backfield the whole entire game. So passing for me and him both, Josh Allen did have 2 touchdowns. He's kind of came on as of late, 16-25. Dwight Nowak, he had 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions, 14-24. But he also had 349 yards passing, so he was just absolutely throwing the rock around the field. His rookie running back also led the charge with 14 attempts, 62 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then his backup also had 7 carries for 28. James Cook couldn't get anything going, 26 yards on 10 attempts, only 2.6 yards carry. And the backup, he only had 4 yards on 5 carries. Just could not get the running game going, but we did have 2 pick sixes in this game. And then also for the receiving department, Njoku, 5 receptions, 159 yards for the Browns. Tank Dell, 7 for 125. I could not stop him, except for when he got into the red zone. That's kind of when I slowed him down. But the nameless guy for the Bills, like my fourth string wide receiver, was the leading receiver for my team. 6 receptions, 63 yards, and a touchdown. Kincaid had 2 for 54. Leverett had 4 for 49 and a touchdown. Big touchdown right before halftime. Defense, both teams had opportunities at times and played good, and other times they gave up plays. His big-time cornerback, Fair, had 7 tackles, 1 for a loss. He did struggle in passing, pass coverage a little bit. Sack leaders in this game, we only had 2 sacks. Rousseau had 1 for the Bills, and Garrett and Barry both combined for a half sack. And then interceptions, Bernard had a 55-yard interception return for a touchdown. Taron Johnson also had a 97-yard return for a touchdown. And then his middle linebacker, Andrews, had 1 for 15 yards. But it was a good game. It was back and forth all through the game. A lot of big plays here and there, and then was sprinkled in with some good defensive stops. So a lot of games still yet to be played. So I'm sure there's going to be some great games already coming up here pretty soon.
I just want to say your boy took the over in that one, and I appreciate y'all taking the over. I will also quickly add before we give it to Dwayne that I think Maniac did a really good job tonight, even though there was a funny comment that I want to read to you in the chat. I thought Maniac did a good job. I was waiting for Dwayne to say if there was a game that he wanted to talk about, but clearly I wasn't able to air traffic control tonight since I was trying to get this stupid game to load up. But there was a comment that made me laugh, and that was from Big Hurt. It said, Dwayne's going to have his drink gone and be drunk before you even have him talk. So I think Big Hurt may have been saying that you were long-winded. I thought you did a pretty good job there. Dwayne, what games are we looking for in weeks 12, 13, and 14?
Hey, they tell you don't mess with success. Maniac was rolling. I did get a good second drink mix while that was going on.
Yeah, Lee.
Yeah, we got a good one coming up. Week 12, I got a game that I thought would be interesting to talk about would be the Bengals and Colts. And I think that's for a few different reasons. I think these are 2 teams that are fighting for their playoff lives. I've watched Bronco Man last couple weeks ever since he he did beat me like the second or third week of the season. I've kind of watched him, and especially when he lost his quarterback, a lot of teams just fall apart and kind of throw it in or find excuses to lose games. He really hung in there, and he went 1-2. He probably should have been 2-2 in those games without a starting quarterback. He lost the Titans by 10. I watched that game. That game was probably more of a one-score game until he lost Richardson. Lost the Browns, beat the Jaguars, and watch him tonight. And Bronco Man knows. I've talked to him a little bit about his game and stuff like that. He knows he's his own worst enemy. That game was a 16 to I think like 28 or 27 game. He kind of fought back, and he just can't get out of his own way. I think he gets the quarterback next week. He gets Little Koch, and if you go look at a few statistics from their team, Little Koch's offense is pretty much top 10 across the board, if not top 5. But defensively, he really struggles stopping the pass. He gives up over 28 points a game, and then you go over to the Colts, and he's ran the ball well for a person who really builds his team around. You know, he really wants to spread you out, pass the ball, whip the ball around. He's top 10 in rushing yards, but he is high teens, low 20s in everything else across the board. Defensively, he's really struggling, and we all know Bronco Man is really good on the sticks, and he hadn't quite figured out this Madden yet. But I'd be really interested to hear y'all's thoughts on that matchup, because I think this is make or break for both those teams. The AFC is a really stacked conference. The Colts are sure, they're trying to keep their head above water in the NFC or AFC South, and then you got the Bengals, who in the North, there's no room for error, not with the Ravens, Steelers, and Browns in that division. And I'd be interested to see what y'all have to say about that, upcoming game.
I'd first say that I find myself caught in my own feelings here, because I asked a lot of people, including Dwayne, for help with my league and my team, and I got like one-word answers with no commas, no periods, no capitalization, just like very little effort from my buddies helping me out. But no, I'm just joking. I watched the Hinder Hooker interception in the end zone tonight, and it just made me, number one, appreciate what our buddy who sneaked in here, Mr. Trey, did when he had Hinder Hooker. But it also goes to show you that when you lose your starting quarterback in Madden 25, it's going to be tough. You have to change the way that you kind of approach games and the way you try to attack teams, because unlike Madden's in the past where we've seen, like Dwayne, I think was the best example of I think there was a 67 overall quarterback was your starting quarterback for a season and you built him up. Like very few guys can pivot like that. Very few guys can win with their backup. Most of us are going to have to completely change. And for, Bronco Man here, he's going to have to completely change until he gets his quarterback back, which will either be here in week 12 or 13. I think he's out 3 weeks, but I don't remember when that started.
Yeah, he'll be back this week.
I was going to say, I think these two guys, they match up really well. I think if he's got a full team, I think it's going to be a really good matchup between the Bengals there and him there. I think with the Colts, the Colts have really shown, a lot of grit. Because I don't know, like when you lose your quarterback like that, it can be tough because like some of the easier throws, I guess you're going to see them missed more often, and you're probably going to lose your composure. I know I would probably lose my composure. We're all human, so it's like here he goes again, missing another slant or drag or whatever, But I think he's did well if he keeps himself afloat and he's able to continue to kind of maybe sneak a win here and there. It's going to be tough, if he doesn't have his quarterback against the Bengals, but. If he can sneak out a win and then get his guy back, he can make some noise.
I think a couple other quick games before we go to week 13. Chiefs Bills, that could be fun. Luka's starting to gain some momentum. I feel like he's starting to gain some confidence. That might be a really fun game. Dolphins and Lions, that just intrigues me. I'm not fully sure. Tim is not quite up to his normal standard this year. That just might be a fun game to watch. Cardinals Seahawks, low-key, might be a really great game. Cardinals, we know that Joker plays with so much confidence, and we know what Meek is and what he's done and continues to do again this season. That one just might be a ton of fun just to be able to watch that one. Yeah, I think the rest of these games will be fine, but those are a couple that kind of caught my eye as well. Week number 13, Dwayne, what are we watching for?
I think you kind of have to stop at just the Bills and Jets. I think that's going to be a hell of a matchup, interdivisional matchup. You got the Bills, who have kind of been on tear since they lost. I think they started the season 3-3, won 3, lost 3. Get a bye week, kind of recoup things together, and then kind of survive a fight against the Lions, and then have just been on tear ever since. And I watched this game tonight, and if you didn't know any better, you thought that last drive Maniac did was done by a computer, because he just kind of picked his way down the field.
Yeah.
And even time management-wise, I was sitting there watching it, and it's like 25 seconds left. He gets that last play, and I'm like, okay, he's going to call a timeout. He's going to do something. No, snaps the ball, throws a touchdown with 2 seconds left in the game, leaves himself with very little room for error. And it was just real methodical, and I think that just shows the confidence that Maniac's playing with the Bills team right now. And then if you go over and look at the team who's going to play against, the Jets are a team that I think we've said from the get-go since he kind of underperformed, that first season or so. But I think he's really getting it together. He's got a quarterback in place, and I think all of us know that it's on the sticks with the players. The skill players in place. Cincyberg's been one of the most dangerous people here since I've been a part of the OMFL, and he started his season out with a loss against the Bills, a very close game, and he's lost one game since to Joker, and that's nothing to look down on at all. And he's just been on a tear since, and I think the Jets are kind of out to make a statement. They're 7-2 right at this point. The Bills are 7-3, maybe 8-3. I think that could be a game where the Jets, kind of try to make their mark and say this is their division this season, and I think it'll be a great game.
I don't doubt that at all. I think that's going to be a ton of fun. I think I called it last year, since he felt like a projecting up team, even though the record didn't quite show that he was. and he seems to be putting it all together this year. And the Maniac, he's here, so it's sort of hard to talk about a guy that could just talk for himself. But Maniac always seems to know how to pull these games out. I don't know how he's got it done. Maybe he is letting the CPU call his plays. I don't know what he's doing, but there's some way that this guy knows how to win these really tight, close games. This is just going to be a really fun matchup. Maniac, I'd love to hear you talk about your own matchup here. What do you think is going to happen in this one?
If it's anything like the first one, it's going to be a nail biter. I mean, since he has the capability though of putting up a tremendous amount of points, and I've got to be on my P's and Q's against him. I've got to really bring a good game plan because I don't know if you've seen his roster, but he has built a roster. He's got a good mix, and we've talked about this before about having a good mix of veterans and also young guys, and he's got that. He's down the line every position. He's got a lot of young guys, a lot of guys with speed. He's got a lot of big guys. His wide receiver crew is just a prime example. He's got big physical receivers. He's got fast receivers. He's got guys that are kind of basically both, and then he's got quick guys and stuff. And he makes you really have to pay attention to who's on the field at what position, because he just runs a phenomenal offense. His defense, I think, has been maybe just not say lagging behind his offense, but he's just been so good on offense so far this season. I think his defense kind of takes a back seat a little bit, but he's built a phenomenal team, and it would not surprise me one bit if he goes on and represents the AFC in the bowl game.
Yep, I'm with you both. I think that would be fun, but we would not be being completely honest with ourselves if we didn't talk about that second game on the list, 49ers and Cowboys. I know the 49ers are maybe not carrying the cachet that maybe they have in Madden's past, but I mean, look, we watched it tonight. As great as Trey has been this entire season, he just got absolutely manhandled by the 49ers. It feels like the 49ers starting to find themselves. It's going to be a fun game, bro. We know what Dwayne does.
The Lions talk for me, but that's not me anymore, remember?
I was waiting for that.
I did say Trey, didn't I? My bad. Sorry. Listen, it's burned in there, okay? That is just commentary to the success that you had. I met Tim. Plus, you both have short 3-letter names that start with a T. So, listen, it's not that hard to kind of get that mixed up. Yes, Tim. Let me not put that on Trey.
Mr.
Trey is
T.
now
Let's
with the
just call him
Commanders.
Mr. T.
This is going to be, now that Trey is back, this is going to suck for me. I'm going to have to rewire the brain here. That is going to be a hell of a fun matchup, though. Sign me up to watch that one. It'll probably happen at 12 in the afternoon when no one is able to watch it, and we all just see the score pop up and go, "Oh, we missed it." But I still think it's going to be a really fun game. When do the Patriots get their quarterback back? Does anybody know?
I think maybe this week.
Man, I sure hope he gets him back soon. I mean, poor guy's been playing with this backup almost the entire season. I think if he gets his quarterback back, this could be a fun matchup. Bears have the potential.
Patriots' only injury right now is the right tackle.
Oh, well, maybe he got him back. So by here, he maybe has found some momentum with him, found his rhythm back. Could be a lot of fun. Broncos Cardinals has some potential. Bengals Dolphins has some potential. Eagles Titans, maybe. Twinkie. Dwayne says it better than anybody. Twinkie has a way of just hanging with everybody that he faces. Week number 14, last one. What games are we watching for, Mr. Wayne?
There's quite a few of them to pick from, but I had one specifically I wanted to look at, and that was the Ravens and Browns. And that's just, I think this is Denver's last chance to kind of make a push to take this division. And just kind of glancing over their stuff, Nipples didn't lose he lost his first game this week, I think, to Sim. He's kind of quietly been on just such a roll. Yep. You don't really hear nothing normal come out of Nipple. It's always something super eccentric and crazy. You almost ignore the fact that he was 9-0 going into this week. And then you look over at the Browns, and I watched him with just a heartbreaker to Maniac earlier, which I would have been just so sick the way that, like I said, that Maniac handled that last 30, 40 seconds that you're like, oh, my God, he's playing right into my hands. and Maniac just, what they say, give a little hope and take it away, and just took it right away from him. And if you've looked at the Browns season, their whole season's kind of went that way. They've won 6 games, only 2 of them by more than 1 score, but they've lost 5 games, and all 5 games have been by 6 points or less. So he's literally a possession away from being, 10-2 or 11-0. It's just really crazy how Denver's seasons could have flip flopped, and I'd just be really interested to see this one. I think Denver's playing a lot better than his record shows. I think Nipple. I just looked at his stuff here just ago. He's beat some really good opponents this season, but I don't think he's been tried. He has not played the Browns yet this season. I think the Browns, obviously before then, he plays the Titans and Steelers. But going into that Browns game, I think that AFC North division title could be up for grabs, and that could be Denver's last chance to get it. And I think Denver has been playing a lot better than his record shows. And Nipple is just the quietest 9-0 or at this point 9-1 person I've ever seen. Yeah, I haven't heard a peep out of him. Like I said, that wasn't eccentric or sex cruise related. So I'd be interested to watch that game, and I'd like to hear y'all's thoughts on it.
I just find it a comical thought to put quiet and nipples together. Those things don't feel like they feel like complete opposites. But you're right. He's not talking a lot of trash. He's not doing a whole lot of anything. He's just popping in, saying some weird stuff and popping out from time to time, being the normal nipples that we know him to be. This will be a classic game. I can't quite put my finger on what just seems to be a hair off for Denver. He just isn't as dominant and consistent as we've seen him be in cycles past. But I know that, look, he can put up points on anybody. He can win any game that he's in. This is going to be an interesting matchup because what Denver likes to do is stretch the field, take your shots, and what Nipples likes to do is play cornerback and just take your number one guy right out of the game and force you. Now, Denver's also shown that he has the ability to hit some other guys. And look, in the game against the Maniac today, his tight end led in receiving yards. Game against me, Chase led in receptions. And so he's got this way to sort of multiply attack you. The problem I've seen with Denver where Nipples will push you is turnovers. Denver will turn the ball over, and Nipples will cause you into some crazy throws and go make a crazy play. This will be a fun matchup. I think Nipples might just kind of put his flex on this division and wrap this one up in week number 14.
I have to nickname him the Silent Nipple because he has man. I even sent him like a message like several weeks ago. I was asking him if he wanted to possibly work a trade or something, and I hadn't heard nothing out of him. I was like, well, man, he's dead or something. But no, man, he's played his games. He's been quiet, but man, he's been a strong quiet. And I'm telling you what, I've played him twice this Madden, and he is like just as tough as anything. I think a lot of the stuff that he was doing was just trying to build up some of these wide receivers because he'll target them like 21 times a game. I'm like, I'll throw, if I did that, I would probably throw 16 interceptions in a game. So, but he always seems to sneak by and does well. And I think he quietly builds a really solid team through the draft and through free agency. So this would definitely be a great game to watch. Denver, I think, just kind of somehow some of the different things that Madden works with, I think on defense, this go around may have kind of tripped him up a little bit, but he's just like so good. And with his front seven he has, like, I want to run the ball, and I couldn't run the ball today. That was so frustrating for me because I had to really focus and concentrate on passing the ball. And that's what he's going to do. He's going to make you one-dimensional. And so if he can kind of figure out some of the maybe the things on defense for the passing, especially the pass coverage or whatever, watch out for the Browns because I think he could rack off a row of wins at any moment. But he's just such a competitor, and he knows what he's doing, and he just brings his A game every time he plays you, no matter what his record is.
couple other games I think could be fun. Bucks and Buccaneers. Buccaneers. What the hell did I just say? I need a nap, y'all. Maybe I'm the one who's drinking or getting drunk from Dwayne's drink. Bucks and Packers. I'm waiting for Kevin to find his footing. And I don't know what's happened with Priest. I've got my ideas, but my guy is on shaky ground all of a sudden after starting out, I think, red hot, 6-0, 5-0, 7-0, something like that. Panthers and Lions, I'm still waiting to see what Tim's going to do. Bird also still trying to figure his team out. He's having some weird games, and that NFC South looks very, very weak right now. Bengals and Steelers could be a ton of fun. Patriots and Bills, especially now that his quarterback's back, if he can gain some momentum, like, does he go on a bit of a run here at the end of the season and ruin some potential playoff team seeding or even some potential playoff teams who are fighting for a wild card? Eagles, Commanders, openly, Trey's in here. I'm excited to see what he can do with the Commanders team that I think has a lot of potential, has a lot of opportunity.
I'd like to know what I can do with a healthy Jalen Daniels as that quarterback.
Listen, I'd love to make some swip swaps from you, but Twinkie is going to make you earn it. We know that you and Twinkie have got some old-time battles. That could just be a ton of fun. Jets and Broncos. We know what the Jets have been. Broncos, little hit and miss, a little here and there. Let's see what happens here. And then showdown number 2 for this season, 49ers and Seahawks. Yes, yes, yes. Pipe that in straight into an IV and give it to me. Seahawks have owned the 49ers in the regular season. 49ers are starting to gain some confidence in season 113. And then ultimately, well, we got to wait till we get to the playoffs. See what happens with Mr. Meek Boy and those Seahawks. But this one will still be one for the bragging rights this season in this division. Week number 14 shaping up to be a really good one. All right, before we go look at some commissioner power rankings and maybe even talk about what's the best conference in the OMFL this season, let's go ahead and turn it over to Denbrew. Mr. Denbrew, would you please take it away for the OMFL news?
Welcome back to the OMFL news. We are in week 11 of season 113 in the OMFL. I am Den Brew, and this is your OMFL news. Let's take a quick look at some rookie leaders. Some of these leaders lead the OMFL, but they are rookies. All right, here we go. Rushing yards. Jerome Mabry getting it done for the Titans. Almost 700 yards and 7 touchdowns to go along with that. Nice rookie season there out of the running back. Receiving yards, Quentin Copeland of the Ravens, just shy of 1,200 yards, but not far behind Quentin Copeland is DeAndre Huff of the Buccaneers and Devin McCullough of the Colts, having a couple of nice seasons there for those guys. Receiving touchdowns, Quentin Copeland, 13. Not only does he lead all rookies, but he leads the OMFL in that category. What else we got? We got tackle leaders. Daniel Hazelton, middle linebacker for the Cardinals, 68 tackles, and right there with him is Nick Sims of the Vikings with 67s. Interception leaders, Will Milner of the Titans with 7, Britton Stanley of the Jets with 5. Sack leaders, Dante Worthy of the Ravens. The Ravens got everybody on this list with 7.5. And Roy Jones of the Bears with 6. All right, real quick, this week in sports history, 1937, Boston Redskins receive approval from the NFL to move to Washington, D.C. I didn't know that. 1990, James Buster Douglas with a surprise big-time upset knockout of Mike Tyson in the 10th round in Tokyo, Japan to win the world heavyweight boxing title. I do remember that. Back in 2017, Golden State's Draymond Green becomes the first NBA player in history to record a triple-double while scoring fewer than 10 points. Green had 12 boards, 10 assists, 10 steals, and only 4 points. That's all I got. Back to Nate and Press Pass Live.
Thank you, Mr. Denbrew. Can you imagine with me for just a second what sports betting would have been in 1990 for Buster Douglas versus Iron Man, Mike Tyson? Like, that would have been absolutely nuts. People would have lost houses and jobs and potentially just about everything. All right, I want to go ahead and turn the corner a little bit and talk about my power rankings. I was not able to do my pretty graphics and stuff. Work is pretty crazy for me right now, But I'm going to go ahead and give my 5-1 and then get feedback from these fellers about their 5-1. I'd love to see it in the chat too. Let me know what your 5-1 would be. And here we go with mine. I'm going to go number 5, the New York Giants. I think that they have played absolutely superb. A team that he has built pretty quickly, a fairly small turnaround. Kudos to Cincy Berg. It looked like for the last 2 Madden cycles, he's been a bit out of it now. New baby's been in his life, a lot of life changes. Now he's going off to the All-Star World Championships of softball. So please, Bill, don't message me every 30 seconds that, since he's the last game of the season. I get it. Just don't want to hear it. But the New York Jets have built quite the squad from running back to quarterback, the offensive line, and of course, what I think when I faced him last season is hands down the fastest, most athletic defense I've ever faced. I wouldn't say the best defense. I've faced some really good ones. We know what Dwayne can do. We know what Maniac can do. Heck, give Trey a little bit more time. He's going to get something over there in Washington going. I know that I played Bill this year. That defensive line just single-handedly won the game for him. But athletic, top to bottom, guys with speed and playmaking ability, that Jets defense is absolutely superb. They're coming in at my number 5 team. Coming in at number 4 is maybe a little low, but I will openly admit, you still got to show me something. Like, it's one season, halfway through one season, so still got to show me something. But the Baltimore Ravens coming in at my number 4 team. Now, I know what Nipples has done in the past, but just like every legend, it might be a figment of my own imagination. It's been so long ago. He hasn't won in this league at a high level in a very long time, mainly because he's putting his thing where things aren't supposed to be going on boats in the ocean and all kinds of other stuff. But whatever the distractions may be for Mr. Nipples and those Baltimore Ravens, he's playing good football right now. We know what he can do on defense. He builds amazing cornerbacks, and then he goes and uses those sons of guns. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen, how this guy can just command a game at the cornerback slot. But on offense, he's got all the tools. He's got big playmakers at receiver. He's got really good running backs. That quarterback can make every play. Baltimore Ravens are coming in at my number 4 team. Coming in at number 3 is a team that I talked about just a few seconds ago, a team that some could say have been the regular season champions for multiple seasons in a row and probably the winningest team the OMFL's ever seen to not have a championship in his corner, and that's going to be Meek Boy and the Seattle Seahawks. This team has it all, guys. Simply put, he's got the superstar franchise quarterback that can make every throw you could imagine. He's got the running back that he doesn't even want. He's been trying to deal that guy away, and he's been the top 3 in running yards every single season. He's replaced the big-time playmakers with cheap, fast, athletic contracts with guys they can still make plays, and then that defense is absolutely superb. They've got playmaking ability. They've got speed. They've got strength. They'll get after the quarterback. He's got some big matchups coming up here at the end of the season, but I feel like his confidence is built, and the Seattle Seahawks are rocking and rolling. They're coming in at number 3. Now, my 1 and 2, you could flip-flop these guys. You could even make arguments that some of the teams I've already mentioned maybe have an opportunity to be mentioned in these top 2. But I would say these are the top 2 teams, and maybe I'm a little biased for my number 1 team, but my number 2 team is going to be your Tennessee Titans. He's dropped a couple of games, okay? He has dealt away his MVP of the OMFL Bowl. He's moved players around. He's had to rebuild that running back room, and he's done it really well. I think last time I checked, his rookie running back was top 3, top 2 in the OMFL in yards. He's got the quarterback. He's got those 2 superstar wide receivers. His number 1 wide receiver wasn't even the top wide receiver threat whenever we got to the playoffs. He had his number 2 guy making all the big plays for him, but he has dropped a couple of games so far this season. Maybe some of those are Sims or CPU games. I don't know. I can't keep track of all those things, but at the end of the day, he doesn't have the best record. That belongs to a couple of these other teams, but I still have to give a nod that he is the champion. He is still playing really good football, and when we get to the playoffs, the Bills, the Jets, the Ravens, You guys better hope that somehow you can get that number 1 seed and keep the Tennessee Titans from having you all come to his house, because the deck is going to be stacked against you if you have to go to Nashville and play that team. And then coming in at number 1, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about who you guys think should be number 1, or give me your 5 through 1, but it's got to be Mr. Dwayne and the Dallas Cowboys. Once again, he continues to be steady Eddie. He's so steady, he's boring. This guy's got to love missionary, because he's just steady Eddie. Keep it simple. I'm sorry, I'm just dropping a little joke there. Nobody laughed at it. It made me chuckle, though. This guy just knows how to get it done. Dwayne, you know how to build teams. You know how to stretch the field whenever you need to stretch the field. You catch people in zone. You take off with your running back. You make somebody want to kick a baby. Then you play great defense. You get after him. You pick the ball off. You continue to find your way out of situations where you're like, oh, that's it. He's going to, oh, no, he won that game. How did he do that? Dwayne is steady. He's got this thing figured out. And once again, in my opinion, halfway through, a little past halfway through season 113, he's got the Dallas Cowboys at the tippity top of the mountain. He's been there so steady, so consistently. That's why he gets my number 1 spot. So that's my 5 through 1. I got the Jets. I got the Ravens. I got the, oh crap, who's my other team? I already forgot. I already cleared it off. I got Ravens, Seattle, Titans. No, Jets, Ravens, Seattle, Titans, Cowboys. There we go. Maybe I'm the one that's been drinking other than water. So that's my 5 through 1. I'd love to hear in the chat, who's your 5 through 1? Fellas, pick it apart. What do you think about my 5 through 1?
Man, I have no arguments with it outside of order. And I do think your number 5 could be switched up. I think you got a couple deserving teams. I think you got the 49ers sitting right there. I think you got the Bills sitting right there. I think a sleeper one, I think you got the Cardinals sitting right outside. I think Joker's played really well this season. But if I had to go with number 5, and my number 5 is going to be Meek, and I won't break him down like you break him down. But offensively, he's a juggernaut. Defensively, he kind of gets slept on. The only thing that gets me is defense plays real well, but he doesn't create a lot of turnovers yet. And I think if he can create a lot of turnovers, that defense will take another step. My 4th team would be the Jets. I think his pedigree carries some weight with me that maybe he doesn't with some other people, but I remember since from back when he was the Patriots, and I've seen him build this team into just a juggernaut. Once again, he's an offensive juggernaut this season. If he can get that defense reeled in somehow, but he's the opposite on the Seahawks. He's created almost twice as many turnovers as the Seahawks have. That's what's keeping him in these games. Bend, but don't break, and create turnovers. Number 3, and I know Nate's going to make a good remark. I put my Cowboys number 3 for the reasons as I can't go over the Ravens. The Ravens have just did so much this season. I know he's got a lot to prove in the postseason. We've seen Nipple there. We've seen, if I'm not mistaken, it wasn't a Madden or 2 ago when he played D-Money, and he played D-Money real tight. I just think that the lights were too bright for that first championship. But I think if he stays engaged, that team right there, if you look at them, they create more turnovers than anybody in this league. They've created 37 turnovers through 10 games and only given the ball away 9 times. That's a recipe to win games. And I think you said it well. He locks down one side of the field. It makes you really one-dimensional running or throwing away from his user. And I have to go number 1. I have to go with Kobe. I know Kobe's dropped 2 games. He's lost a game against I think it was just like the Pittsburgh and Penguins. Hey, that's nothing to sleep on. And then Tim and the Lions, and I think we said it earlier, Tim hasn't quite got it all figured out, but Tim can go to battle with anybody on any given day here. The Titans are epitome of it. His offense is real steady. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot. If I'm not mistaken, he's one of the lowest in the league, or about middle ground. But his defense, just steady, top 10 or top 5 in all defensive categories. And as your reigning champion, I think he kind of earned the right to have a few stumbles this season. And we've seen what he done with Love. We've seen what he did when he traded his superstar OMFL Bowl MVP away and drafted a star and hadn't really missed a beat. So that's my rankings. Like I said, they're not, real different from yours. But I can see some shakeup here because you got D-Money right on the trail, Joker right on the trail, the Bills right on the trail. somebody from the NFC North's going to wake up at some point and make a splash. But that's my 5.
Now, before we get over to Mr. Maniac for a quick top 5, and Trey, if you feel like you have an opinion, I'd love to hear your top 5 before we unpack one more thing and open up the mailbag question. I don't think the Nipples engagement problem is a real problem. He's constantly engaged. He's just not engaged with Madden 25. He's engaged with all kinds of other extracurriculars that keep him distracted. But you're right. He is having a hell of a season. 300 points for his offense, only 155 points against his defense. But you got to show it to me longer than just 14 weeks. Actually, don't take that as an invite, Nipples. I don't need you to show me anything. I just meant like I need you to go play it on the field. Mr. Maniac, who's your top 5?
Well, that's scary. 5 for me is the Jets right now. I think he comes in the top 5. He's a young team still figuring his team out. But man, he's put up so many points. Like right now, I think he has put up 320, which is actually tops in the league right now. His defense though has given up like 272 points so far. So again, I think that just speaks how his offense has really progressed this season, and he's like the tops in the offensive output. So I've got him at number 5. At number 4, I've got the Ravens. Nips. I mean, his offense is really solid. He's actually number 3 in points scored, but his defense is also number 1 in points given up. So I mean, if you're doing that, I mean that's just like one of the. He's already getting turnovers, like you talked about. He's put together a really good team, but when you're scoring in the top 5 points for the entire league, and then you're giving up the least amount of points in the entire league, you're doing something right, and you're probably going to be winning in the win column there. So we got the Ravens at number 4. So we got 2 AFC guys there, back to back in the top 5. At number 3, I've got the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks, again, we've talked about before. He seems like he's always right there in the regular season. I know he's at 7-2 as well, and he's actually 2-2 at home, which is kind of odd to me. I mean, seeing even like Kobe, I think the 2 losses he's got is at home as well. So, but I think with the Seahawks, his offense is one of the better offense. He can at any moment in time he can put 40 points on you really quick, and his defense can step up with the type of DBs that he has and the defense that he has and stuff, so he can step up at any moment and shut you down. But I have him at number 3 again, going into the playoffs. Hope to see him one of these days get a trophy. At number 2, I got the Cowboys. So that's leaving not a whole lot of speculation on who's number 1. But the Cowboys, Dwayne, he could be number 1 as well. He's just, like you said before, he's steady Eddie. He doesn't do a lot of the sexy stuff. He just does all the really hard and down in the dirt and gets
You're
the
not
hard
making this
yards.
better. I just want to throw that out there. You're not making this any better.
He can put so many yards on you rushing though, and he puts such a strain on you as far as like controlling the clock. If you don't get stops right away, I mean it's going to be a full 14 play drive. The first quarter is going to be almost gone, and he's going to be up 7-0, and then you go a quick 3 and out, and then he gets maybe a quick score or another long drive, and then the next thing you know, it's the halfway through the second quarter for you even getting your second chance, and so then you're just kind of playing catch up the whole time. So again, Dwayne has just got a phenomenal team that he's built around his core players, and really does a good job. He also got to give nod to the Titans. He's come off winning a bowl game, played a really good game against the Giants. Again, like I said, he's lost 2 at home, which is kind of odd. But sometimes you get those crazy odd losses out of the way early on, and you can kind of get refocused or whatever. But man, he's put up really good points with the team that he has on offense. the wide receivers that he has, you look at them and you would not think that they would be guys that would be stretching the field, looking at their stats, but they do. They get open, and they're open all the time, and it's hard to cover them and keep them under wraps. And he gets the ball to him, and he makes plays. And his defense is, not that shabby either. He, like Dwayne said, he traded off his star player, and he got another one in the draft, and he's just built him. I think he's got 6 or 7 interceptions already too. So just picked up where the superstar left off, and now he's got a superstar X factor to replace him cheap. So but anytime Kobe is in the top 5 there in scoring and defense, he's got a chance to run the table, and so you can't ever ignore him. So he's in my number 1.
Trey, I hate to put you on the spot, but once I give you a chance, since you're here, you might as well. Do you have a quick top 5?
A quick top 5? I'm pretty sure I can fire it off. For me, obviously, I'm still getting used to what has happened this Madden cycle, but from my understanding of how things are on, my top 5 would be at 5, Mr. MVP of the regular season and your toilet bowl of playoffs, and Seahawks and whatnot. Number 4 would be Cincy and the Jets. I heard that he moved on from Pittsburgh from last cycle to the Jets. And, it's a relatively hard team to keep active with the Aaron Rodgers nonsense. The fact that he has about an 8-2 record at this point is really good. Number 3 would be Nipples and his nonsense that he is with the cruises. We'll leave it at that. Number 2 would be Mr. Dwayne. First game back, makes my life hell by injuring Jaden Daniels in the first drive of the game. The fact that I kept that one close makes me a little bit more confident about myself, but here or there, that team is ridiculous. The fact that he wasn't, and the championship last year just makes me weird, but that's here and there. And then obviously number 1, even though it's 2 losses, you still gotta go with a guy. It's like they said with the Chiefs. You gotta knock off the champion to make them not the number 1 guy. So you gotta go with Kobe and the Titans.
Yep, I think those are all really, really fair. Okay, let's talk here, Maniac and what he's done with the Bills, Titans, and Kobe. The last couple of kind of big-time champions have come from the AFC. The Steady Eddie, Mr. D. Wayne's got him another one this cycle. But has there been a shift of power? Is it a 50-50? Is it kind of even? Is it the NFC still? Which one do we think is the better conference?
Maniac, I'll give mine quick. I think it's, as much as it hurts me to say it, I think the AFC is actually leaning a little bit more their way as a whole. I just look through some of those owners and some of those teams, and that's not a shot at the NFC. I just think some of those teams, the ceiling and the scariness in some of those owners on that side scares me, and I think it leans me more. I do think it's close to 50-50. I've always leaned more towards the NFC. I thought we were more top-heavy. I think, as we've said, the more parity in the league than we've ever had it. Mm-hmm. But I will say that little teeter-totters lean a lot more to the AFC right now. I think if you want to go percentage-wise, I could go like 52-48 to like the AFC over the NFC right now. And that's taking a shot at myself when I say that.
It's hard to not make that argument. Maniac, what do you think?
I do think maybe there's a slight edge in the AFC side. I know there's great players on both sides. So if you look at the owners that are on each side, I mean, it's pretty even, but I think the top end may have just a little bit of a lean towards the AFC. But if you look at the records, like even right now in the league, it's almost like identical. Like there's a 9-1 in the NFC, and then there's 3 teams with a 7 record, and then several teams with 6 win record, and it's exactly the same in the AFC. So I think there's a pretty much of a mirror, but I do think with who's like running some of the teams over in the AFC side, you got Denbrew again. He's a 6th team. Little Koch, he's at number 4. He's a proven owner. And a lot of these guys that are kind of lower on the other end of the NFC, you got kind of some newcomers Trey obviously helps kind of lean it kind of back towards the NFC, and at least get it to the middle. But you've got Crazy over there on the NFC side now, and there's different owners that have kind of switched over there and stuff. So I think again, I think it leans a little bit the AFC side, but again, if you look down the list, I mean, there's great owners on both sides, so you can't go wrong either way you pick. I mean, I'm a little biased right now because of the AFC. I know I play these guys a lot more, especially in my own division, and they're tough. They're tough, top to bottom, no matter their record. So, but it's definitely been great parity, I think, so far in this Madden.
I agree with both of you. I'd say top to bottom, AFC. I mean, just looking at the top 11 here, right? You got Nipples, you got Cincy Bird, you got Kobe, you got Maniac, you got Shocks. He's been a little hit and miss, but you got Logan, you've got Penguins, you've got both Little Koch and Denbrew, you've got Bronco Man, you've got my guy Massimo. NFC, it's sort of, Dwayne, me, even though D-Money is starting to make a run here. And then you start to get a bunch of teams that sort of hit and miss, especially this season. You got Priest and you got Joker and you got Birdman, you got Mr. Bill, you got Trey. So I think top to bottom, it is AFC. But if you give me top 3 versus top 3, I'm going NFC every single time. And maybe that's just biased of the consistency over a long, long period of time where the AFC seems to be a little bit more fluid overall. Top to bottom, I like AFC. Top, give me NFC, which is why I think in the past we've seen the NFC sort of own the playoffs, especially when we start to get to the big games. Now, I know you got to give it to the AFC this last time. Mr. Kobe won the championship. Let's just see what happens this time and see which one of these teams make a run and who can show some consistency, especially as we get into, those conference championship games and get to the big game. All right, let's open up the OMFL mailbag. We got a handful of questions. Trey, feel free to jump in on some of these. What is your favorite Super Bowl food from Mr. Randy?
I can't be mistaken with the good nachos.
Yeah.
I think I have to agree with him on that. It's hard to beat good chips and dip.
I'm a big believer in cheese dip, man. Like the Velveeta cheese and melt. I don't know. I don't eat it a whole lot, especially since I've been on my dieting and stuff like that. I haven't eaten, but I special occasion like that every once in a while. Get a little bit, man, and you can't ever go wrong with a little Velveeta cheese, man, because that stuff's so smooth, and it's been like one of my favorite foods. But it's bad for you, so don't eat a lot.
Yeah, my wife made that dip with some chorizo, and it is smashing. She makes this like cheese and I don't know all the things that go in, but I know the top. It's got bacon and jalapeno strawberry jam, and you bake it and you eat it with crackers. Oh my goodness, it is. I could eat the whole freaking plate with a pot, pan, whatever she bakes that stupid thing in every time. And I'm also not a big wings guy. Like I don't like it messy. Like I like ribs, but I don't like to eat ribs. I just don't like messy food. I'm weird like that. And I don't like wings because wet food is a little weird for me, but she makes these dry baked wings that are, golly, they're spicy. They're not too vinegary. And my wife is a banging cook, and they are pretty good. Kobe says, of your top 5, who do you think is least likely to make another top 5 this cycle? Ooh, that's a tough call for me. That's a really good question. I know we all had maybe slightly different top 5s. I'll take the low-hanging fruit. I'd say Nipples if I had to pick one, just because it's summertime and he's probably going to be getting ready for his beach body and skinny polka dotted bikini and sex cruises. And so he just won't have time to win any more games here.
I think that's a tough argument, honestly. I think that's, like you said, Nipples the most unpredictable out of the group. I'd give you a crazy one that you're going to laugh at, but I think it's very possible. If you just want to say fall out of the top 5, like a power rankings top 5,
don't you say it.
I think I think the NFC East got a lot tougher this week, and I think you have 3 championship contenders and 4 playoff contenders, and that's not a shot at Twinkie. Twinkie's still trying to figure out that Eagles roster, but you have 3 championship contending teams in that, and all it takes is losing 4 games in your own division, and you're not in that top 5 group anymore.
We got to pause we just stop the show. So turn the recordings off. This guy has literally a top 2 winning percentage all time in the OMFL. The most consistently boring fella you will ever meet. And he is trying to sell me that he may not make the. I can't. Please, Maniac, give me another team.
Yeah, I'm in shock too, man. I don't even know what's going on. Are we in the same zip code here? No, we're not. So
these drinks are hot and heavy tonight. She was a little heavy on those bourbon pours. I would say the Ravens are a good pick. I'm gonna give like one AFC team, one NFC team. So I think the Ravens are a pick there, and I think the Seahawks could be one that could possibly drop out because not the simple fact that he's just all of a sudden going to get bad, but I've seen Joker. He's kind of turning the corner a little bit. He's been playing some pretty decent games, and D Money also. I don't know. He just seems like he's loading up his team now. He went from one of the youngest and probably the worst offensive lines to now he's got a pretty solid offensive line looking to go for the next couple of seasons. So, but anytime you got 2 teams within the same division that could knock you down to the 3rd spot, obviously it's gonna knock you out of the top 5 pretty quickly. So, but again, though, Ravens, just because he likes to take cruises and get on the nipple side of things, and but Meat Boy, he could be one from the NFC that could also drop out.
Yeah, I mean he's pretty much talked about. It's getting around spring break time, and it's usually around the time that start seeing nipples check out. So if we're going to see the checkout that stays off top 5 cycle, unfortunately it's nipples just because of the time of the year.
Now, I know Nipples is a young man, but you've been around here long enough, Nipples, that spring break you're going to start becoming a creepy guy. And you're the old fella that people are like, why is he still here? Is he chaperoning somebody? What's going on over here? Mr. Maniac, what's your favorite OMFL game moment from any game that you can remember? Could be a personal game or one that you watched. I would call it a what just happened moment. Thanks. And as you guys think about your own, maybe number one, that's why we have the OMFL Classic game. That thread, I think, is 7 years old now, and I regret that we don't have even older games because there were so many good games from way back in the day that you used to be able to watch. Back in the day when we first started, 2001, 2002, there was no streaming back there, but you would IP to IP, and I forget exactly how it worked, but you could log in and like watch a game, and it wasn't streaming, it wasn't recorded, any of that stuff, and it was so cool to watch some of them old time games that we used to watch way back in the day. And that was, again, back before streaming, before we call it games. We'd all be in chat talking to each other while the game was going on. And there was just some really great games. With that said, there was actually a Trey Dwayne game from I don't know, maybe a couple cycles ago now, where these two guys went at it it was either a conference championship game or maybe a divisional. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like the last 2 or 3 minutes of that game was like, what did we just watch? Like, I don't even know what just happened. I think there was a punt return touchdown. There was some crazy back-to-back interception situations that it was just like bam, 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 bam. And then I can't quite place it, and maybe one of you can. We call it a bowl game, and it kind of bleeds into Randy's question. Matter of fact, we'll just blend in Randy's question. He said, what are some of your favorite OMFL bowl games that I called? First, I'd say my favorite one, I didn't call it, but it was my first bowl game, 2000, either 9, 10, or 11. It was back when before Twitch TV, it was Justin.tv. I didn't even know how to stream. You could not stream straight from the PlayStation. We were all figuring it out. And so I used to stream from my laptop, record my laptop camera. I'd face the laptop at the TV, and that's how you would stream the game, as people would watch my laptop version camera of my TV. And yeah, I still remember, like, I was like a teenager in my living room. My wife was watching me, and I don't even have that film anymore, but I won my first championship. That was a ton of fun. All the rest of them have been a fun just to call with any of these guys. Any games where anybody, even Brady back in the day when he used to pop in, like, those are always a ton of fun, is when you've got other people that share their thoughts. But there was a bowl game that we called, man, I can't even, I want to say it was either 49ers or maybe a Dallas. I don't even remember. And
it was Denbrew versus D-Money.
And there was like, that's what it was. It was like a play that happened at the end of the game, and it was like, oh no, it's over. And it was like, boom, boom, two big plays happened. And it was just like, what did we just watch in the last literal 45 seconds of this game? And those are always a lot of fun. If you do not check out the OMFL Classic game thread, you should do that. It's a little behind. I'm going to get it updated here soon, but it's got a bunch of classic games. So for you guys, what has been your favorite, just like what just happened moment, whether it's your own game, one that you watch, and then what has been maybe one of your favorite bowl games that you've seen?
Yeah, I can give you two right offhand. I think you've already, and Trey can go with that one, was the 49-42. I think I throw just a heaved end zone and go just catch a Hail Mary to send to overtime. I kick a field goal in overtime, and then Trey goes for it on 4th and 4 on a walk-off touchdown. Is one of the most, I was on the wrong side of history, but one of the most fun games I've played in. And just a wild game. And in the other game, many of y'all might not remember it, but I can't remember which playoffs it was, but it was actually between Colin and D-Money. Colin was up by 20 points with like 6 minutes left in the game. And he had I think he had a few too many to drink during the game. And he threw, if I'm not mistaken, 2 straight pick sixes and a 3-and-out, and lost the game by 1 point. And I can't remember, that was at the middle of the D-Money, like, super dynasty. And I think everybody, no offense, D-Money, was cheering for Colin to pull that game out and had him on the ropes. And if you were a betting man, you were really rich for betting on D-Money down 20 points in, I think, a quarter. And that was just one of the craziest ones to me, because I remember Colin was I think Colin was in shock after the game. We were in shock watching the game. It was the most D-Money way to win a game and the most Colin way to lose a game.
Yeah, so for me, when I asked this question and stuff, I was thinking about the two games, and we've already kind of talked about them, but the crazy game between Dwayne and Trey, that was just because you and I were calling that game, and I want to say we were calling the Denbrew D-Money game also, but both of them were absolutely just crazy. But I do remember the Denbrew thing was like, it was a Hail Mary at the very end of the try to score point, and it bounces up. He catches it, and he jumps like to leap over somebody, and he gets tackled, I think, like at the 1 or something like that, and time expires. So that was like how it ended. And I remember we were just like sitting there going like, what just happened here? Oh my goodness. So, but yeah, that's a good plug for the classic games, because there has been a couple times I've kind of scrolled through there just like looking at some games and stuff. I've seen some of Pepper, since Pepper just recently left and stuff. I've seen a couple of games from him, like when he's at Giants, and him and I were playing, I think, a game when I was the Cowboys, and so there were some good matches there and stuff. And I guess probably the favorite OMFL bowl game, besides like my two that I've participated in, would be that the D-Money versus Denbrew that just ended in classic fashion.
Trey, there's another one that Bronco Man just said in the chat that probably isn't a great memory for you, but I forgot that was another great game of the Lions, giving away a game there at the end to the Condors, where the Lions were just, that was such a good team. Arguably one of the top 3 teams ever built in the OMFL. We're still seeing some of those players going strong in the OMFL today, and that was 6 seasons ago, it feels like. And that was just another really classic game. So, Trey, wrap us up. A game that sort of was like, oh my God, what just happened, and a favorite bowl game.
Well, my question all relies on 3 straight games in that playoff. Because it was the loss in the Super Bowl, as much as it was painful to lose that one. The 2 Super Bowls I'd won, or the OMFL Bowls I'd won, were blowouts and weren't really fun. That was a close competitive game. I led into that by beating D-Wing, the shootout of the century, which comes back to the karma on me because it goes to overtime off the Hail Mary. For some reason, I was in that game. Jameson Williams, over the top. Saints defense looked dumb. Those 3 back to back to back, just, I can't beat that. That's just too great of a moment.
Didn't you? Is that the same year that you also beat me with a Hail Mary?
I beat you to go to play Wayne.
Yeah,
that's right.
With a Hail Mary. You and your Hail Marys. You had that thing figured out, man.
Yeah, just can't beat that 3 straight back-to-back games like that. Nothing can top that for me.
Yeah, that was
right.
Some fun seasons. Hang in there, you guys who are like me right now and struggling through a couple of tough Maddens. You'll have your moment. Just it all click for you, and you'll find the right team and the right players, and it will all click. And I feel like I finally figured out how to start building a team again, but I'm probably just a little late in that kind of process to make a run this Madden, but we'll be ready for next Madden. The next couple of Maddens for me and my Saints they're going to suck, y'all, but we're going to get it figured out. All right, let's do some closing thoughts and get everybody out of here on a Monday night. Mr. Maniac, I'm starting with you. Give me a final thought.
That's a good show. Liked reminiscing about some of the old games, and I still think we should do like a classic look back and just talk about looking at an old game
during the
happened.
summer, but nobody showed up. It's just me streaming to me. And so, but we can try it again this summer where we do like the NFL does during the offseason. We do a NFL replay. We'll do an OMFL replay and just pick some classic games. Nice.
Looking forward to seeing some of these teams that we talked about. Definitely. The Jets, just looked in. I think the Jets just took care of business against the Packers, like 41-18. So
I want to point this out, Maniac, but
so,
since we removed the ability to not throw interceptions, my guy's 3 losses in a row. I'm just saying there may be a correlation there.
Yeah. So it's definitely harder when you don't have that ability not to throw an interception to an AI. So, those teams, man, they're up and coming, like the Jets and others we was talking about. And I'm glad to see Loss get his quarterback back because, man, that's been tough on him and stuff. But he's played solid, and just looking forward to getting, before you know it, we'll be playoff bound.
Mr. D. Wayne, one final thought, my friend.
Guys, just get your games in. I don't want Bill to strangle y'all. He's had a rough couple of days.
He's had a rough couple of weeks,
Yeah, and so let's stay on that. No, everybody's actually been really good. I know that I was actually gone this weekend when the PlayStation Network crashed, and I just happened to look back at the chat, and I thought it was going up in flames. I didn't know what exactly was going on.
I'm guessing here, Dwayne, but I'm pretty sure Bill has sent a scathing email to PlayStation about them being turned off for the weekend.
Oh, that's no doubt. Guys, get your games in. Everybody's doing pretty good about that so far, and I'm just excited. Like I said, we're over the halfway point of this season. And I think Nate said it earlier, if any of you guys are struggling, even though Nate's going to say that we haven't helped him or offered any advice, if anybody is struggling, needs advice, you got 4 guys here for sure, or anybody else on the board or Bill or these other guys that you can ask, and we'll try our best to help you out.
Maniac was talking about, just making an observation here that, Mr. Big Stud D. Wayne, he's hard as a rock. He puts it in the dirt. Like, his wife doesn't have a smile like the one that you see on this screen right now for nothing, okay? This is a stud muffin in every sense of the word.
gosh.
Mr. Trey, give me one final thought, and then I'm going to close this baby up.
I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad to get things rolling. Excited to see how the remainder of the cycle goes on, and good luck for everybody that's rebuilding.
It's good to have you back, you old wagadoo, as my grandbaby daughter has taught me. I guess that's a Bluey term. It's good to have you back. Can't wait to see what you can do with those Commanders. And I'm going to be honest, we'll have this discussion as we get a little closer. I am 1-7-1. I've lost every game by less than 11. I think it's 6 of the 8 losses have been less than 5. So tight games. I have nothing to brag about. I am literally, I think, either I am tied as the worst team in the entire league with 4 other poor fellas. One of them has no quarterback, though, so I don't know what the rest of our problem is. I'm still having fun. I really have. I don't know. I've been doing this new little thing. I'm not going to let that little secret, but I'm having a good time. Like, I know how to rebuild my team. I know what I got to do. I can't get rid of anybody else until next season, but like, I'm having fun. So I think if you try, you can have fun. You can find a way to have fun. And even when you're having really tough seasons like Patriots and Texans, Buccaneers are having, like, you can find ways to have fun, and hopefully you guys can all do that. Guys, let's just keep having a good time. We'll review if we're going to stay all Madden the rest of the cycle or go back to all pro. Have no clue where the board is going to kind of fall on that, but they're going to help me make that decision. And either way, I think all pro or this, we have found parity, and that I take pride in. I want parity, and we have found parity, and any team can win on any given Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever day we end up playing here. And I think it'll just be a ton of fun to keep pushing along here and seeing how things go. Guys, that's going to wrap us up. Take care of yourselves. Take care of those around you. Know that I love you and that you matter. Thank you guys, all 3 of you, for joining me. Even Big Hurt, you were in here and you were willing to give your services, but I was like, there's no way we can do 5 of us on the show. This thing, I'll be here till next week. So Big Hurt and Trey, they're sort of there as my tap-ins whenever one of my buddies here and have a game or got to work. Poor D-Wayne, he's always got to work. So they're kind of the backup plan. But I appreciate you guys. Thanks for all the content, all the engagement. Let's keep pushing through. We're getting close to the dog days of summer, right? The draft, I mean, the season is now ended. We're into the off season, and we start, it's going to start warming up, and guys are going to start, teetering off. Let's just stay focused. It's season 3. We got 2 more after this one at minimum. Stay plugged in, stay engaged. We'll find other things to keep you through the summer. And before we know it, College 26 will be out, so we'll have a good time. Guys, I'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves. Peace.
There we go.
Smash that like and subscribe.